I can't lie to you. In fact, there's proof on this channel. A Davante Adams trade is something that I've discussed. I've thought about what happens if the quarterback situation isn't up to snuff. I thought about what happens if Davante starts declining at a pace we didn't expect. I thought about what happens if a team like the Jets approaches us with an offer, Godfather style, that we can't refuse. I've also thought about throwing him in a trade to acquire Brandon Ayuk to get a younger version, not as good as Davante, but a younger, maybe cheaper, depending on how you feel about the age versus the actual salary. I don't know. Look, I'm not a guru in terms of the salary cap. All I know is this. There's a lot of smoke surrounding Davante Adams being traded. I'm here to tell you this. There are going to be people that say, whether it's commenters or creators that say, look, it's the offseason, there's not much to talk about, so we're just going to talk about Davante Adams being traded. And while there are a lot of articles and videos being posted about this subject and people are milking it to sort of get different types of videos and articles made, it's not coming out of complete nowhere, but it's not coming from the place you think. This isn't Davante's camp leaking that he's not happy with the Raiders and that he wants to trade. It's all stemming from the Netflix documentary. What happens when some behind-the-scenes footage comes out like this of Davante showing some disdain and some lack of commitment to the Raiders, whether that's a regime in the past or a regime right now, is irrelevant. If you are a GM of another football team that could use someone like Davante Adams, and you're sitting at home and you're scrolling through Twitter or Netflix and you pop on the receiver doc and you see Davante say the words, "I gotta get out of here," we know what he actually meant by saying that, and we know that was with Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels. Doesn't matter. If you think there's any sort of mustard seed of doubt with Davante playing for the Raiders, you are going to do your due diligence to try to see if, 1, he's available, 2, he wants to go, 3, what the price would be. So you are going to get guys, GMs, calling the Raiders, asking for Davante's availability. And then you'll have guys like Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport say, people are sniffing around Davante Adams, and Aaron Rodgers said he'd like to play with his best bud again, and Davante said maybe down the road, but right now I'm a Raider. So that's how all the rumors start. When you have some behind-the-scenes footage like this coming out and sparking all this drama, that's going to happen. Now, here's another thing I'd like to discuss before I talk about if we actually should trade Davante. And make sure we're hitting that sub button. We're trying to get to 10K before the new league year. We got about 60 days to do it. We are at 7,700 subs. Can we get to 8 in a couple weeks, which means we only have to get to 9 and then 10 before week 1, Harbaugh v. Antonio Pierce. If you've been watching a while and haven't hit that sub button, give me a chance. What about my uncle? Did you give him a chance? Spider-Man 2 reference? No, Spider-Man 1. Tobey Maguire. Doesn't matter. Hit that sub button. There is this weird thing with the Raiders, and I've made videos on this in the past. I don't know if I've actually made videos on this in particular, but I've talked about it in terms of people watching ESPN or Fox Sports or reading Bleacher Report articles about the Raiders, and they're always seeming to be a negative bias toward them. That's actually not true. People get clicks because Raider fans watch a lot of videos that talk about the Raiders. Don't I know it? But if you talk negatively or positively about the Raiders, Raider fans are going to passionately watch, support, or be against these videos and articles. And in the off season, there's not a lot to talk about. And there's also not a lot to talk about in terms of the Raiders when they are kind of in this sub 500, little above 500 area. When they're really, really good, it's nice to make videos about them because you're going to get clicks from Raider fans who are happy. And when they're really, really bad, it's the same thing. You're going to get these angry Raider fans that watch these videos. So when they are on the two extreme ends of records and of playoffs and of low or high draft status, it's going to be nice for these content creators and these article writers to make content. But when they're sort of in the middle, you still want to find a way to talk about the Raiders. If you're not a Raider content creator like myself who will talk about any little thing that happens with the Raiders, you got to find a way, if you're sort of a neutral sports site, to get Raider Nation to click on these articles. And whether it's the Antonio Pierce bankruptcy or Josh Jacobs being a little bit mean to the Raider fans, or now this receiver doc, this is just another story that people will use to get Raider fans to watch different videos, because the Raiders bring in views, and views equals revenue for these people. That's why you see so many, what are the Raiders going to do at quarterback? Is Antonio Pierce the right guy? How does Max Crosby feel about XYZ? Aliens, are they real? Is Davante going to be traded? They need to talk about the Raiders, and it's hard to talk about them when they're not the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. So they scratch and claw and dig up any singular story they can about Raider Nation to get you guys to watch. So do they believe the things they're saying when they're like, Davante might not be happy, he might go play for Aaron Rodgers? It doesn't matter. The point is, they just want to talk about the Raiders because they know that we have one of the most passionate fan bases in the history of sports. And I'm not saying you're wrong to watch all these videos. Trust me, I watch them too. I can't help myself but watch all these Raider videos. The only thing I would caution is, don't get upset by the people making them, because again, they understand how important Raider Nation is to driving them views and revenue, whether that is, again, Bleacher Report or ESPN or some random YouTuber. We need to talk about the Raiders, and when they're not doing anything extreme, we got to dig something up. Which brings me back around to the Davante Adams of it all. Do I think he's going to be traded? No. Do I think he wants to be traded? No. I've already said this about the video I made talking about the Netflix documentary series. One day, maybe he would like to play with Aaron Rodgers again. I think it's more likely that Aaron Rodgers is a Raider one day than Davante Adams is a Jet. I don't think either of those scenarios are likely at all, but I don't see Davante Adams leaving the Las Vegas Raiders under his own conditions, whether that's free agency or retiring. I think he'll retire. I don't think he will leave in free agency. I don't think he will request for a trade. If we trade him, that's not his fault. That's us trading a player. I think he wants to retire a Raider. It's the team he grew up rooting for. He's now closer to his family in California. And as much as he wants to win, he said one of his goals when it's all said and done is to be a Hall of Famer. And that is him being the best player he can be in any situation. And he showed that he can get 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns with Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell. And yes, winning a Super Bowl is the most important thing to him, but showing that he could be great despite of his unforeseen circumstances is another link, another stepping stone to get himself into the Hall of Fame. And if he just went back to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, it would be like, oh, Davante can't get it done without Aaron. Aaron can't get it done without Davante. And Davante and Aaron both seem like they're big legacy guys. And I think they are best friends, but they want to prove that they can have success apart from each other. In terms of individual success, Davante has proven that, and Aaron has not proven it because he got injured. But only time will tell. Only the people making the decisions for these teams know how true or not it is that Davante is on the chopping block or on the trading block. People want to talk about the cap next year. Look, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we end the season 5-12 or whatever it is, 5-12 now, yeah, then maybe we should look at trading him, because it doesn't matter how good he is. We won 5 games. If we end the season 10-7 and play a playoff game, there's no reason why we don't find a way to restructure some contracts, to keep Davante, and to run this thing back. Because if we win 10 games, that means Aiden or Gardner stepped up and developed well. The defense was great. Luke Getsy was calling plays for Davante to get into the end zone. All these things were coming together. I do not think it's out of the realm of possibility to one day trade Davante Adams, but I think that will only happen if we are below expectations this year. And that's a possibility. That's a real possibility that Tom Telesco and AP have to consider if things don't go perfectly this season. However, I think we are going to be better than a lot of people think. I do believe we can make a playoff run. I do believe we'll be competitive, and I do believe we have the weapons around Davante to showcase his ability to be a leader as well as be an all-pro first-team wide receiver. I think he's the best wideout in the league. I still think he's got 2 to 3 more prime time years in him, and I think it would be an absolute mistake to trade him right now, especially when one day he might ask for a trade, and right now he's not. If you got a number one receiver who is high maintenance in terms of getting the ball because he knows that when he gets the ball, it gives us the best chance to win, and he's happy in his current situation, you would be very, very wrong to move that person. There are players like Stephon Diggs who were unhappy in their situations, and that's when they were moved. They were not moved when they were happy. And wide receivers sometimes can be very temperamental players. And if you have one that is as great as Davante, who was happy in his current situation, you ride that thing until it cannot be ridden anymore. And only time will tell if keeping him was the right decision. I think it is. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Should we trade him? Is this all hooey nonsense? Let me know. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. Link is in the description below. You get your name at the end of the credits because you become an executive producer of the ALLaBorde Raiders channel and all the videos that I produce, just like you. You get early access to videos, exclusive content, bonus content, all that good stuff. Check out the Discord, link in the description below. It is free. Just sign up. Just make an account. We already got 30 members in there. Let's get to 50 members by the time the season starts. And please be sure to subscribe. It is free after, no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.